Day 3 of NBA free agency is ongoing. You got Harrison Graham and Will Scott from Chat Sports to break down every move that has happened up to this point. We'll have a little free agency tracker for you guys coming up in a moment. I do want to hit this little report first, though, Will. Can we get to the James Harden report right off the top? I want to include that in this segment. James Harden, who is available still, technically, but is expected to re-sign with the Sixers. Want to include this in the free agency tracker, Will. Looks like negotiations have begun to bring him back on a multi-year deal.
Absolutely, and that's what we expected after he opted out of his $47 million player option for next season. He wants to take a pay cut to help the Sixers kind of build around him and Joel Embiid. So I would certainly expect any deal to get finalized this weekend over in the Hamptons. Not a bad place to negotiate a deal 4th of July weekend.
That's classic Harden, hanging out at the Hamptons on a holiday weekend. So if that deal comes through, we'll obviously update you guys on that as well. All right, let's get to the rest of the NBA free agency tracker. We're starting at the beginning, Will. Jalen Brunson got it kicked off, 4 years, $104 million with the Knicks. Nikola Jokic, 5 years, $270 million, Supermax, which is an NBA record, by the way. Devin Booker, 4 years, $224 million. Malik Monk, 2 years and $19 million. Which out of this first quartet really stood out to you?
Well, obviously the Brunson deal. There's a lot of questions about what the Knicks were going to do to get him. They had to trade away players. They had to trade away picks to clear up cap space, but they did, and I think that's a pretty good deal for both sides.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the Jokic one is very interesting that he's setting a record there, but I mean, he's a hell of a player, no doubt about it. DeAndre Jordan also to the Nuggets as he somehow keeps getting deals in the NBA. Isaiah Hartenstein to the Knicks, 2 years, $16 million. Victor Oladipo gets rewarded for good play in the playoffs. He's back in Miami for $11 million. And then Bradley Beal, 5 years, $251 million, Will.
Yeah, Bradley, a lot of people have been saying, hashtag free Beal, but he opted to stay with the Wizards for the primary purpose of getting that max deal. I don't think anyone else would have given him that type of money.
And guess what? If he's not happy there, he can just request a trade in a couple years.
Right. I mean, Kevin Durant has 4 years left on his Brooklyn deal.
Exactly. Nick Batum, 2 years, $22 million to the Clippers. PJ Tucker, 3 years, $33.2 million to reunite with James Harden and Daryl Morey, assuming Harden does get that deal done. Anfernee Simons, 4 years, $100 million with the Trailblazers. And then Bobby Portis, 4 years, $49 million to remain with Milwaukee. What do you guys think is the best signing so far as we progress here on day 3 of NBA free agency? This will be the pinned comment on today's show. Best signing up to this point in free agency. Danuel House Jr., 2 years, $8.5 million. Another one of Daryl Morey's pets there. Mo Bamba, 2 years, $21 million. Tyus Jones, 2 years, $30 million to stay in Memphis. Joe Ingles, 1 year, $6.5 million. I think some good value deals among this group right here, Will.
Yeah, I think so. I was expecting Mo Bamba to get a little bit more than that, but he stays in Orlando on a somewhat team-friendly deal. And then Joe Ingles, who had that knee injury, goes to Milwaukee on a 1-year deal. I really like that pickup for the Bucks.
Good value for Milwaukee. Wes Matthews back with the Bucks as well. 1-year deal. I would assume that's for the vet minimum for Matthews. Amir Coffey, 3 years, $11 million to the Clippers. Damian Jones goes to the Lakers on a vet min player option for the 2nd year. Javon Carter back in Milwaukee on a 2-year deal as well. I thought this was a bit of an overpay for Chris Boucher, Will. 3 years, $35 million with the Raptors.
Yeah, I think so too. The Raptors have certainly made some interesting moves, getting Otto Porter Jr. and also that deal. When you're talking about a pretty good deal for both sides, though, I'd say Lou Dort, 5 years, $87.5 million. Remember 2 summers ago when the Rockets would literally leave that guy wide open on the wing, begging him to shoot? Now he just got $87.5 million. He's really improved over the last couple of years.
Trevelin Queen to the Sixers, small 2-year deal. Devon Reed to the Nuggets as what Queen was? Yep. Trevelin Queen, the G League MVP. Thanks for that note, producer Jeremy Chugs. Dwayne Dedmon back in Miami, 2 years, $9 million. Thaddeus Young, 2 years, $16 million with the Raptors. Marvin Bagley gets rewarded for playing well with Detroit. Get the hell out of Sacramento, and he actually was able to play well. Patty Mills, 2 years, $14.5 million with the Brooklyn Nets. Jayshawn Tate, Will, your boy, 3 years, $22.1 million with the Rockets.
Talk about one of the better value deals in free agency. You're talking about a guy guy who averaged 11 points per game on over 50% shooting last season. Tate, one of the most underrated players in the league. He's going to be a part of the Rockets, that young core for years to come.
I like the Lonnie Walker move for the Lakers. The Spurs removed his restricted status. That made him free. 1 year, $6.5 million on the mid-level there. They also add Troy Brown Jr. Don't get this Nick Claxton signing. Had a pretty good year, but the Nets might look completely different here in a couple days, so he gets 2 years and $20 million. If you want more NBA videos throughout the offseason, you are at the right place. Chat Sports here on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We're not going anywhere. We'll continue to keep tabs throughout free agency and, of course, the latest news, rumors, trade buzz, and everything else that takes place. Juan Toscano Anderson is heading to Los Angeles. JaVale McGee, 3 years, $20 million with the Mavs. That's under the taxpayers mid-level. Anfernee Gill gets a 2-year deal with Washington. Kevin Knox, we'll see if he can revitalize his career. 2 years, $6 million with the Detroit Pistons. Gary Harris, were you surprised he agreed to stay in Orlando? 2 years, $26 million?
A little bit. I think some contenders would have been interested in him. Would they have given him $13 million a year, though? No, so I don't blame him for staying.
Yeah, I think it's a money play there for him. Kyle Anderson, 2 years, $18 million to go up to Minnesota. DeLon Wright for the 5th offseason in a row. Every other year gets a 2-year, $16 million contract. A little sarcasm there. I like the Andre Drummond deal, Will. It's he's not a great player, but he's a good backup center, just over $3.3 million per year there.
Yeah, I like that. Add some depth down low for Chicago. Really, really solid deal.
Gary Payton II leaves Golden State. He goes to Portland, 3 years and $28 million. Karl Anthony Towns, 4 years, $224 million Supermax. Ja Morant gets a max deal as well. So does Zion Williamson. These two guys, Morant's can get up to $231 million. Zion Williamson, though, Will, sure, Morant's had some injury problems. Zion's played in 85 career games. Don't get me wrong, when he plays, he's incredible. That's a lot of money for a guy who's played in 85 career games.
Yeah.
You're talking about like $4 million per game played in his career.
Yeah, I'm iffy about this deal, and it's not fully guaranteed. There's some protections that go around with it, which is something to monitor.
Here's an interesting question. Is Zion a bust in terms of injuries? Not as a player.
Yeah.
In terms of getting a max deal, though, I'm still typing my in for no. When he plays, he's a beast.
No, he averaged 27 points per game in his second season.
I'm
the
like
guy's
60%.
A stud. It's too early to tell, but right now I'm obviously saying no. But he's got to stay healthy, man. He didn't even play last year.
Exactly. More deals here. Ricky Rubio, I was a bit surprised he got a 3-year deal, but played well last year for the Cavs. $18.4 million there. I like this Bruce Brown signing for the Nuggets. That's a kind of under the radar value signing there. 2 years, $13 million. Mitchell Robinson gets a nice little contract, 4 years, $60 million, and then Bol back to the Magic. We'll see what happens there as well. A couple of 1-year deals. Aaron Holiday to the Hawks. Theo Pinson back in Dallas. Otto Porter Jr. gets a 2-year deal from the Raptors. Curious to see what those contract details are, but I'm guessing a pay raise from the minimum. And then Danilo Gallinari, Will, I like this signing quite a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more underrated signings of free agency. You get him 2 years, $13 million. That fits into the Celtics' $6.5 million mid-level exception. So you're going to be able to bring him off the bench in what's going to be a really solid Celtics bench.
Zach LaVine, 5 years, $215 million max to stay in Chicago. Yusuf Nurkic gets 4 years and $70 million with the Trailblazers. John Wall, I think this is going to be interesting to see how this one plays out after finally agreeing to a buyout with Houston. 2 years, $13.2 million with the Clippers, and then Drew Eubanks back to the Trailblazers as well. If you love the NBA, well, like the video. Hit that thumbs up icon if you love the NBA because, hey, if you're watching this video, you probably do love the NBA. So go ahead and click that button. Robin Lopez to the Cavs, veteran minimum 1-year deal. Derrick Jones Jr. back in Chicago, 2 years, $6.6 million. I do like the Kevon Looney signing, Will, 3 years, $25.5.
Yeah, it's a really solid and important pickup for Golden State. They lose a couple of guys. They lose Otto Porter Jr., they lose GP2. They bring Looney back on a team-friendly deal.
Raul Neto back to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those details are to be announced. Luke Cordat, 2-year deal to be determined. Dante DiVincenzo, 2 years, $9.3 million. Damian Lee on a 1-year deal. Then a few more here. Jalen Smith, 2-year deal back with the Pacers. Muscala is staying with OKC. Bryn Forbes up to Minnesota. Then Darius Garland, 5-year max deal, Will, which I know you have opinions on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Garland's a heck of a player, man, but you're going to give him the max. I mean, look, he's very, very good. I like Garland. I think he's going to become an even better player, maybe a superstar, but I think it's too early to be giving him that kind of money.
Yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. Bismack Biyombo, probably a 1-year vet min, I would imagine, with the Phoenix Suns. And then just coming through, actually, Eugene Marui, 2-way contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder, so a couple coming in late there that we wanted to add as well. All right, what's the worst signing so far? Let us know in the comments. We just broke down every contract that has come through up to this point. The worst signing in NBA free agency is, answer the question.